Okay, so this is like the latest I've started in a long time. I'm still like tired. I haven't been awake that long. I just kept sleeping. Well, I woke up one time in the middle of the night because Stella was puking, which of course now, it makes me nervous. You'll hear her stomach in the background, and she puked up. I had given her some squash the other day, the peel. Now I'm like, oh, fuck. Usually it's fine. But I don't know, she's got more stuck in there or what. So now it's stressful. So I'm making her I made her some chicken and rice. She didn't want it. She just is not feeling good. And I also put some mullein tea. I made some mullein tea and honey, so I'll put that in with their stuff. And I keep all my tea, all of the bottom root powder and stuff that's down there, and the honey and stuff, I've been pouring that on her food. So I'm trying to give her all these, and on Jack's too. But, his health, I'm sure, is a lot better than hers. So, anyways, that guy's wild. Like, fuck. That guy's so wild, I can't even believe it. I would go into all those stories. Yesterday, my day was intense. That's all I'll say. It was a fucking intense motherfucker. But it was long, man. Like, what is going on with time? And I can't believe it's still like a week and a half till I get paid. This is just wild. Everything is so upside down. It's wild, man. So, but I had started watching this hokey movie, old movie earlier in the day called Vice Versa. It's just one of those silly movies like Freaky Friday or something, which I think is kind of strange how they do these swaps like that in these movies, or you can change with another person. I'm sure there's something to it. But anyways, then I had this weird, so because now I look at it kind of different because I had these two things happen at once. So one of my daughters messaged me and she said, have you watched this documentary? And do you know who this person, no, I think she said, do you know who this person is? And I was like, no, I don't know who it is. And then she sent me a thing and she sent a documentary and she said, I was like, I've never heard of her. I don't know. What is she saying? I was like, I, said some other things about it, like, because I had no idea what she was talking about. And then she said, well, you should watch it. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I wasn't really watching anything anyways. So I decided I would watch it. And then my other daughter messages me and she asks me if I ever drink colloidal silver. And I'm like, no, not really. And whatever it was, I don't remember what she said, but I showed her my copper cup. I did a little video. I showed her my copper cup. I said, I fill this with water sometimes. I leave it set. And I sent her the thing about what that is. I can't even, some other weird word. Ayurveda or something. I don't know. Some old practice of like, if it comes from the Middle East or somewhere, it's something that they used to do for their health. Drink out of these copper cups and it adds minerals and stuff. So I do that sometimes. I have some colloidal silver. I showed her the little thing. I said, somebody gave me this, this old lady gave this to me and she drinks it every day. And she said that she never gets sick. And so I said, don't drink it. I mean, you're only supposed to take like a spoonful. It's like you don't drink it. You're supposed to take a spoonful, like medicine or something. And so I didn't think anything else about it, right? I just was like, I wonder why she's asking about colloidal silver. So, so I start watching this documentary that they told me about. Okay, you guys, you got to watch this documentary. Like, this is what, when I'm saying that this stuff has been going on for a while, people who are just waking up, who are unaware of the spiritual community, like these people, I was completely unaware of these people. Like, totally. I feel so fortunate, man, that I have not run across some of these, but I have good discernment because even that documentary on that couple that was the Twin Flame documentary, because I think it's on Netflix, it's on Prime, it's all over the fucking place. And but I had seen those people online. I had seen those people online years ago, like 2017 was when I got triggered. And it was like immediately, all of a sudden, everything would pop up on my stuff. Like I'd be reading a tarot, or I'd be watching a tarot thing or something. Because it was when I was watching a lot of them, because I was trying to learn, because I was going to be doing it. And I had already taken a class and stuff, and I was learning my cards, but I was trying to, watch how other people did it. And then all of a sudden, it was all twin flame, twin flame, twin flame. And I was like, what the fuck is this twin flame thing? And so I went and looked it up. I thought this is just some trend. And so I went and looked it up, and it said something about it's like back from Native Americans or something, this explanation or whatever. So I thought, okay, so they've just taken something old and they're just jumping on board with it. So I didn't jump on board with any of that stuff. Like I don't, I don't know what the deal is. The only thing that my guides have shown me is that it's a magnetic pull, and you pull together when you're supposed to. Like it has to be, both people have to be healed. You don't pull together until you are healed, unless some of these people, they pull together to heal, but there's a lot of friction in that way, because I know people who that's happened to, and but it's a whole nother thing. And so my guides were always showing me something different, so I didn't get caught up in all that stuff and go watch all those people, because I knew people who were really into those people, because there would be people talking about it all the time. And like I said, I was on Twitter when somebody approached me and asked me if a certain person was my person, just out of the blue. And I was like, I mean, I don't know. They come in my dreams and stuff, like there's something going on. And so they invited me to join this group. And so so that's where I met a lot of these different people, and I saw these different attitudes about what was going on. And a lot of people talked about these people. And there was both sides. There were people who were trying to take them down, and there was people who like worshipped them. And so, but I had heard them a couple times. I'd seen people share things and stuff, and I was like, I'm not, these people are fake, man. And there was reasons why I saw it was fake, but I haven't watched the documentary, so I don't know what it points out. And the same with Teal Swan, because when I had joined into the Quantum Healers Network thing, where I started learning about doing BHQ, which is the same as QHHT, but they can't do QHHT because Dolores Cannon died, and then the sister or her daughter is charging a whole bunch of money, and so they started a new thing called BHQ. It's the same kind of thing, and so what does it stand for? Something like behavior health, quantum healing, or something. Something, I don't know. But anyways, it's about going into past lives to heal your present life. And so anyways, that lady, she was really into Teal Swan. And she would say, oh, Teal Swan is so great and stuff like that. So I went and watched her for a couple minutes a couple times, and I was like, oh, I don't know, it's not my job. And so I was just kind of repelled from both of those different groups. So now they've got these documentaries out. But this person I never heard of. I've never seen her. And I was out, seeking at the time. I was looking for other people who were seeing things and understanding things. And everybody was talking about the event and stuff on the spiritual community. Like I said, we were talking about the solar flash. 2016, man. And so there was a lot of, I don't even know how many different spiritual groups. Like this one is mental. So this woman, she had like issues and stuff Like, she had a lot of issues, man. This is a thing, too. It's like where I have said and said and said and said, these spiritual people who are not doing their healing, it is mental. I mean, it's a part of it. If you're truly spiritual, your spirit is leading you to heal. Your spirit is leading you into growth, ascension. It's leading you. And it's some other darker energy, but you have to have, you got to use your discernment. Like, it's weird. Like, I really don't understand some of these people. So this woman, she has troubles, like, she had troubles with her weight when she was younger. And then she decided that she was going to lose weight because she wanted attention. Then when she lost weight, she got a bunch of attention from men. And then she started getting knocked up. And so then she had a couple of kids. And I don't even know what her struggle was at this time, but she just all of a sudden left. She left her mom's house and she left her kids behind and just took off and just left. So she left her kids to be raised by her mom, and she went off on her adventure. And I don't even know how it even, I'm trying to think back of how it even went from one thing to another. She went someplace and she met some people. Oh, I remember how, because before she was super, super responsible. She was like managing a McDonald's at 19 years old. And, she was being talked of being like a manager of more than one, or having that be her place or something. I don't know. Her mom was super impressed because she was so young. But then she went and did a hallucinogenic, and it changed her whole life. It changed her whole perspective. And she quit her job, and then she ended up leaving her kids. So she went off on some adventure, and I don't know if she was with some man or something. I can't remember. I've watched 2 of these big documentaries now. And I talk about them both. And so she went off with some guy, I guess. Oh yeah, that's how it started, was online. So online, because there was a lot of us online when we were waking up. And there's different groups, there's different levels. Because there was definitely in 2020, I got involved with the group that was like called the Patriots. That's what they're called now. And so they were waking up to government stuff. But there's a whole group of people who were spiritual, I guess. I mean, I've been spiritual my whole life, so the whole thing is, I don't even know. Like, I'm guessing, like, because I don't understand all this stuff that's happening with people. So she was online, like on some forums and stuff, and she made contact with some other guy who was all out there and, did acid and wanted to just be in touch with nature and stuff like that. And so she was way younger than this guy too. And I don't know if she married him in a real marriage or just like a nature marriage or something. But she became his partner. And somewhere in this, they started getting more friends and stuff. And they started, she became God. I'm not really sure. Like, this is the strangest thing. But they all started believing she was God. And they would call her Godmother. Or Mother God. I think that's what the documentary is called. I saw it on Max or HBO or something, I think it's on. But it's like Mother God. If you put that in, you'll be able to find it. And so she, and more people started coming. They started making more contact with people online on these forums. And this is all being on YouTube too. This, and I was out there in that area, like I was in that forest during this time when this is going on, and I never ran across any of these people. And now I see, what my kids were trying to see, like, because these people were saying a lot of the same stuff I'm saying. That's the thing, is they say a lot of the same stuff I'm saying, and the stuff I'm saying is true, it's real. But the difference is the people. It's the people and their attitudes and shit. And, I don't know if you know, I got a brain injury. I was forced into having to heal. I was forced into having to make changes in my life. I don't know. I mean, I think things happen to people, but then they just don't heal. Like a lot of different things happen to me. You know, you can put it off and put it off, but you're always going to be led to a certain place. And so you know, I don't know if you can be forced into healing. It's like you got to make a choice. You're going to save yourself or you're going to just give up. And I'm always a save yourself kind of person. And so then, so I, and she partied all nonstop, just nonstop partied, and drank and drank and drank and drank and drank, and smoked weed all the time and drink and drink and drink. So she was like baked, man. And that even use drinking and smoking weed, there's some kind of a cross thing, and if you smoke and drink at the same time, you get really plastered, like really plastered. And so, you know, she's doing this all day, every day. And then she's got these people around her who worship her. And they all think she's God. They all form this strange energetic connection. And then and she starts going through different guys. And then when she's with a guy, he's Father God. And then she has all these different father gods. Like they said that she never went more than like 2 minutes without a guy. That is so okay. When you're using your discernment, if you're following a spiritual person who is fucking drinking all day long, and like, and even if she's just smoking weed and drinking all day long, where's the balance? Where's the balance? Everything has got to have balance. As soon as you see something that's out of balance, that's out of balance. Like something's off. And so to continue to be like in support of that creates you're a part of the dysfunction. And so she was drinking nonstop, and then her sex thing, like always having to have a guy. She was never alone. She was always in love, and they would just make like, because she's God. She's God. And then she just brings a new God in. And then one of them, because he was sure he was Father God, and then a new guy came, a meth head came into their group, and he was, I don't even know. I mean, he seemed like a criminal when you see this guy. He's just like, this guy is, I don't know. Some of this stuff in this video is just so wild. And so he joins into their group. And so the way that they start making money is going online. And so they're live on YouTube all the time. And this is during like 2017, I think 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. I think she died 2021. And so all that time, they're doing all this stuff online, and they're making money by, at first it seemed that they were just asking for donations, but then they started making things. Because when they were just asking for donations, I was like, this is so fucking shady. At least when they started selling stuff, but it was very gimmicky and super gimmicky. You know, everything's 444, 333. You know, you have this. I don't know. It was total gimmicky to me, and trying to profit off of spiritual awakeness or something. But all these people were convinced this person was God incarnate, and they were all waiting for this ascension. There was a lot of stuff that they would say that is real, and the solar flash and stuff. Like, I don't remember all the stuff they were saying because I then watched this other one, and so I can't tell you every detail of like how strange this one is. And so then they start having to move to different places, and there would be weird things about their moves and everything, and they would go get another place. Well, they were making a lot of money, a ton of money. And then they weren't eating. And they had said, in order to lighten your body. So you're supposed to become lighter so you can ascend. And in order to become lighter, you have to stop eating because the eating makes you heavy. So you have to stop eating so that you can ascend. So all these people stopped eating but kept drinking. And so they kept drinking and drinking and partying all the time. And so they were all getting skinny, real skinny. And they had some kind of Facebook forum or something. So a lot of them's family, these members, were finding their family members online and seeing them deteriorating. They were getting skinnier and skinnier, and people were getting really concerned. And they started a subgroup, like the parents of this group started a group of concern for this group, and it was on Facebook. And so it was a way that they could watch what was happening with their kids, apparently. And this isn't like a huge, huge group. I don't know, maybe 20 people, maybe 15 or something at times. And they would move around and stuff too. And sometimes they would move in two different places. And sometimes, like, this group would have a home and these ones would have to go somewhere else and camp. It was real strange, man. Then they end up back in this place, and all this money. So they're getting all this money, and it all goes to getting their drugs and alcohol, and I guess paying their rent or buying these places or something, because they would have these houses, and then they put all this money into, making her room like a little girl's room or something. It was strange and over the top. And so it was like, I don't know, you can watch it for yourself and see. To me, it seemed like, they needed somebody to worship. And it's like they're going to do this stuff to make themselves into a good person or something because they're caring for God. And yet she would say all this weird stuff. But another thing, a part of their diet was colloidal silver. So they would all drink colloidal silver. They would sell it too. So if you were buying colloidal silver off of YouTube a few years back, you could probably buying it from them. So they were selling colloidal silver, and they would make it. Well, this God lady, she would just drink it. She'd drink glasses of it. And, it's not good for you. And you can look it up. I guess there's more studies about it. But, from what I had always understood, it's like you take a little spoonful. And I've had this colloidal silver for years and years. I don't ever take, before when Stella was really sick, I gave her a spoonful in her food. Before, when I didn't feel good, I've taken a spoonful. But, I don't, it just tastes or smells kind of like a minerally kind of water. But I don't even know why these people are drinking glasses of it. It's like, wouldn't you need to do some research or something? Like, it's so strange. I just don't get these people and how they all just sat there partying and partying, and they think they're partying with God. And then she would say that she was sick because of all of us. All the people aren't waking up. We're causing her to get sick because we are so selfish and not waking up. And she's pulling all of our energy for us. She's carrying the load of all of humanity. And all these people would believe this. They were all on board with it. And they would get really, really mad. And two of the girls would go live every day. And I went and looked it up. They still are. They've got an account. It's a different name. But there's the two girls that were live all the time. They're still live going on YouTube. And they have an account. And it shows at the end of the movie what each person is still doing, or some of the people, it showed what they were doing. One of the guys, I feel like he's kind of similar to me. He's like on Telegram, and he has, because they all did have some awareness of a lot of stuff. And all these people are also understand, with the Matrix and with the how we're running programs and stuff. Like they were saying all this same stuff, what I was saying. And so he's on Telegram. And at the time when they did the documentary, he had 40,000 followers. He's probably got more now. But he seemed kind of more logical sometimes, but he was still caught up in all of this weirdness. And, but he is, if he's on Telegram, then he's talking about things that are going on currently. So it's like he's trying to bring awareness to stuff on the planet. And so, because most of the people on Telegram, that's what they're, they're on Telegram because your shit gets taken down if you talk about the truth. And so he's on there, and he has a pretty big following. The two girls, their following was like 435, but it could go up now from the documentary when people see at the end. It tells you where they're at. So I just went and looked it up and found them. And I didn't go on Telegram because I'm not on Telegram, so I didn't go on there and find him. And then, so they have this lady who she's deteriorating. She's becoming so frail and so fragile and so skinny. And then she starts breaking out in these weird, strange rashes. And she says, and they all believe it, they all are all a part of it, and that this is because of us, humanity, is making her sick. So she's getting these weird rashes and getting sicker and skinnier because none of us are waking up, and it's killing her. This is what they all believe. And it's, so then she even starts turning blue. Then she even can't walk. She stops being able to walk. She's deteriorated. I don't even know. She looks like an anorexic person. She's so fucking skinny. And then plus I could see signs like this chick is in liver damage. That's what killed her. Like, I knew that like way into the movie before I even knew. I mean, as soon as you just saw how much she drunk all the time, it was like, this lady's gonna have liver damage. What in the hell? And she's trying to say, and they would say, well, she has to drink all the time because it's just so hard on her because humanity won't wake up. So it's just draining her. So she's got to drink, and they've all got to enjoy life, and they've all got to party. And so it's just a constant party, constantly doing hallucinogenics and all of that kind of stuff. So it's like, Burning Man. There's a lot of these spiritual groups that aren't really spiritual. They're just like Burning Man or something. They're just like a bunch of people who get high and go to other worlds, but they're not doing any healing or empowerment, enlightenment, or anything like that. And they stay in ego and arrogance. And so she's getting sicker and sicker. They're carrying her around. And then they, I think, because they were in Colorado for a while, they were in Oregon, they went to some other places. I don't remember. It was like 3 different places, and then these 3 different houses. And then they go to Hawaii. They decide, well, they need to take her to Hawaii. And you think, you see all these old people who look like they would just be like these skeezy, weird people who live out in the desert who just do drugs all the time. They have money to just, go over to Hawaii and get a condo. So you're like, dang, how much money are they making off this shit? Like, who all is supporting them? This is so strange. Like, who all was seriously sending these people money? And then who in the fuck, you're seeing this lady? And you're sitting there saying, I'm so blown away. And so they go to Hawaii, and I don't even remember what the hell happened, why she said that she went publicly online or something, and she said she was Pele, their god in Hawaii. So she starts saying she's Mother Nature, she's God, she's all this. But then she starts telling the Hawaiian people that she's their God. They didn't take that. They were like, hell to the no. You're not our God, you fate. Oh, I remember what it was. It was her family, because of these forums, they got so concerned with her deterioration. And they could see she was turning blue. And they could have been thinking it was lack of oxygen or something. But she just, her skin, like you look it up on people who have are poisoned by the silver colloidal, and it's weird. It's like their skin becomes like leathery looking and hard and blue. It's very strange looking. And so she was looking strange like that. And so her family was becoming concerned. She was really frail and skinny, And they've all, there's this group watching them and talking about them. So her family gets worried because these people are not caring for her health. They're not even paying any attention. They just all seem to be whacked out. So they try and get her to go on Dr. Phil. So she decides she's going to go on Dr. Phil because she's going to spread her message. And so it didn't work out with the family what they were hoping. They thought Dr. Phil would help her get help, but really it just gave her a lot of exposure. And that but there's where she said that she was Mother God Pele of Hawaii or something. I don't remember all she was saying. But the Hawaiian people found out. They got pissed. They were like, "You're a fake ass, phony ass. Get the fuck out of Hawaii." And as they started protesting out in front of her condo where she was staying, started throwing rocks, breaking glass and stuff, chanting, telling her she had to leave. She needed to get out of Hawaii. They didn't want her there. And to the point where the police came and stuff and escorted them out. They did leave Hawaii. And they went back to their other place. But everybody was just so upset. Her followers were so upset. So they take her back to this other place, and she's just deteriorating and deteriorating. They're carrying her around, and, she's not eating. She just drinks alcohol and colloidal silver and does drugs. And so then she started dying, and so they're just in there, they're thinking she's ascending. So even there was one point before they went to Hawaii, I think it was where they said, yeah, it was, because they would have they would talk to the Galactic. They were always talking to the Galactic Federation or something. But this is what I'm saying. These people who are out name dropping, channeling, like, don't just fucking, like, this is so much strangeness. So they're channeling the Galactic Federation. Oh, something's getting in my nose. And so she is she's going to ascend. And so they thought she was ascending, and all these clouds started going around them. They said were cloaked ships. And they showed lots of pictures and stuff where I could see like what they were saying. And so they were saying they were surrounded by cloaked ships, that the Federation was coming to take her, and then they weren't taking her. And I think that's when they went to Hawaii, and they said, well, she needs to go there, then we can get her. And so they decided to go to Hawaii because it'll be easier for them to take her out, evacuate her. This keeps being about they're going to evacuate her because she's God. And so they're going to evacuate God. So she, and then she gets kicked out of Hawaii, goes back to the house, and then and the people are all confused, like, what is going on? Why isn't she ascending? Why haven't they picked her up yet? Aren't they going to pick her up? What's happening? So then they have her in the room, in her bedroom, and they're all on her and caring for her, bathing her. I don't even know if they were, there was one point where they would massage her and stuff. And at this point, when she's just like leather on bones, I don't know. They would try and wash her and stuff. And so they had her on this bed, and they're caring for her, and she dies. So they keep her there because she's waiting to ascend. Her body's got to go with her. She's ascending. She's not going to leave her body behind. That means she died. And that didn't make any sense to them because she's ascending, because she's God. So they keep her in the bed. They just take her around like Weekend at Bernie's, take her to the beach. So they're just taking this dead chick around and waiting for her to ascend, to the point where I think family members or something called the police. So the police came, and then they found her in the bed, mummified. So she's a mummy back there now. And like hard leather, it's creepy because it opens up with that shot of her face as a mummy, and when the documentary opens, so she's gonna die right off from the start of the movie. So while you're watching, you're like, oh man, you see what's happening. It's like, well, of course, Jesus Christ, you drink that much, you're gonna fucking die. Like, what the hell? But then when you see the colloidal silver and the fact that she's drinking glasses of it, it's like, what in the fuck with these people? Do they research? Do they look into shit? They're just like, this is wacky, man. And so many of them all in this same whackness. It's like they're all on the same energy. So then they start, I don't know, I think they arrested some of them and they had to go before a judge and stuff. But the guy who owned the house, so now he's back and he was in that, all the time. He was online, he was asking for money all the time. And he was the one in charge of the finances. And it seemed like to me that he came and took all the money. So he came and took all the money, and that's when they said there was $330,000 in their account. So when I'm saying that they had supporters, like I you know, I, I doubt it's any of you guys that were supporting them, but the spiritual community's whacked, man. I'm telling you, like it's not a spiritual community. They're taking a term and turning it into something else. It's like infiltrated, and it's wacky, and they promote people who are wacky in it, and so like the tables are gonna turn. When I was watching that, I was like, oh, this is why the kids want me to watch it. Even the one who's asking me about the silver stuff. Do you drink silver? So somebody must have watched it and they all saw it. And they're like, oh my God, if mom is like this or something. It's like, I'm not looking to create a cult. Like, I'm not looking to make everybody just follow what I say. No, I'm sharing my perspective. I'm sharing what everybody's got to make their own. I'm not telling anybody, like, you have to do this, you have to do that, you're not going to heaven, you're not going to. No, everybody's soul has its own thing. I'm speaking about things so that people who are in alignment with me can, find somebody, it's like anchor in, like, oh, I found my people over here. We're all thinking in the same kind of thing. I'm not looking to form a fucking cult. And so, that's just not my thing. I'm not looking to have people worship me or only do what I say and think, I've got the special pass into heaven. No, I'm just somebody who had, guides that have been talking to me ever since I was little, and I've always been able to hear them. And it's given me a different direction in life than how I see other people have lived. And I have fought for my way of life throughout my entire life and been made fun of. And, so I'm just sharing. I'm not trying to force anybody to be like me. And so if I ever, come across that way, I'm not trying to be, but I definitely, have I don't know, it all depends on the person, the first place you should look is self. You shouldn't be looking outside of yourself for some truth. You should always find your truth inside yourself, because we all don't have the same truth. So each individual's truth matters to each individual. So anyways, I could see, why my kids were, because I was talking about all this same spiritual stuff, and they did think I was so crazy. And I have been talking about at the same time as all these people. And I was on YouTube, so all the things, I was like, oh, I can see why they thought like I would be involved with something like this, especially because I say so much of the same stuff. But it's like, no, I've never even heard of these people, and I'm not a wacko. And that's one thing that my guides have helped me learn is discernment, to go inside what sits right with me. And so, anyways, then, the one guy who showed back up, who said it was his house, so he took all their money. And then they all had to do whatever with the cops and go in and give statements and stuff. And, she died of natural causes, and you don't have to do medical intervention. She didn't want medical intervention, just like I've said, I don't want medical intervention. There's a lot of us who believe that Western med is here to kill us, and people can think it's paranoid or whatever. I see the evidence of it. So, that's what I believe, and my kids don't believe that yet, and they still think that sounds crazy. And then they hear this documentary, and these people saying the same stuff I'm saying, then yeah, they're like, oh man, is she this crazy? No, I'm not that crazy. Like, this was crazy to me. It is absolute insane fucking documentary, and how these people, how they are all caught up, how they don't think for themselves, how they think like just sleeping around and doing drugs is like making you closer to the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit, there is not a one God. Like, how many times have I said that? There's not just this God over us. And then it is, the whole thing was so fucking wacky. And we, all of us are the energy of God. It's all of us put together that creates God. That's why these other beings and stuff, like Dolores Cannon said, they call it source, because it's the source. It's the inner. It's where all our energy it comes from. This source. We are the fractals. We are the experiencers of, when we all come together, it creates a God, because it has all information and stuff. So, I don't know how else to explain it. So, anyways, it's not like a man up in the sky. Like, there's a guy with horns down below us trying to get us to come down to his fire pit. And then we got this guy up here who's fucking throws fucking lightning bolts at us if we don't do it, worship him and shit. Like, it's mental. Like, all this stuff is mental to me. And if people think that I don't hear people talking about religion and I don't think it's as mental as listening to this fucking documentary, it's just as mental to me. So this documentary is totally mental. But after that one, this other one popped up called The Garden. So I couldn't stop. I stayed up late watching it even. So I finished the whole fucking thing. It's 6 episodes. And it seemed like reality TV. Like, it's so fucking over the top. This is like reality TV. No fucking, like, seriously. So this is the Garden. So there is a cult type group. And this is, the reason I'm talking about it is because of, the communities, going out and building communities and stuff. And there's already people going out and doing it. And so there's a lot of people who are already going out and doing it, but it seems as a hodgepodge as these people. Like, to me, there's a time and a place, but all these people who were out doing these things, it's for us to learn. Just like these people who are so obsessed with some of this information and just all day long. It's like Paul Revere. We're in trouble, we're in trouble, we're in trouble. And it's just they're hyper focused on it. But we need them. Everybody's got roles to play. And them, just going over and over and over and over it does wake up a lot of people. So, but for them, they've got their own issues. And I think a lot of them haven't seen what issues they're here to deal with yet. That will be when the lights come on. And so, because I can see a lot of it, I can see people's issues just so easy. I don't know what it is. I've just always been able to. And it's like clear to me. And so, this, let me think. Okay, so this group called The Garden, they're a bunch of people who left society a long while ago, went out into the woods, started forming their own group, and got labeled a cult. And they were people who no longer trusted the government. It's all the stuff. No longer trust the government. Saw through the illusion. Saw that that they have us running programs. Saw how it's a matrix. They're taking our energy. They're feeding off of our energy to keep their world going. Like, there's a lot of people, you wake up and you see it. And so these people were seeing that part a long time ago, and they decided they were going to leave society and go form their own. So they went out and formed their own, but they became this big group. And I think they may have started in the 70s or something. And they became this big group, and they, seemed cult-like or whatever. So it's like they become too much of a group. That's kind of like how I see it, because think about, we're going into sovereignty, into individuality. We're breaking free from group think. That's why it's like, I don't want somebody to just join on and, well, Kelly said. No, do what you think. Do how you feel. I'm just sharing my information, man. I'm definitely not looking for everybody to be like, well, Kelly said, so that's what you got to do. It's like, that to me is wacky. I don't want blind followers. I want to interact with people who think for themselves and stand for what they believe in. And so this, but when they form into these groups, like, to me, it is kind of like, it's toxic. And so, yeah, there's going to be problems. And so, whatever, I think they got labeled a cult, and, I don't even sure. But so, it became more. There's more to this. Like, this Irish guy had gone, and it was all into the garden. And so he wanted to make more places. And so there's another person who had grown up in the garden. And so he and him joined in as a team to make more. And so it seems like they're in Tennessee, Missouri. Missouri may be the place that they're working on right now, but was a couple of other places, just like this other group. So there was a couple other places, and then they decided that they were going to get land in Missouri, and they were going to start building their place. And already the one they were living at, which I think was in Tennessee, it was, to me, it's like, it just seems like a bunch of fucking hippies from Burning Man just getting together and, not knowing what the fuck they're doing. It's like, let's all just live out in the woods together. And it just seems weird. Like, so then they decide to go to Missouri. And at some point when they were at one of the places, maybe in Tennessee, they were on TikTok all the time. And so while they were on TikTok, they got a lot of attention, and a lot of people wanted to go and interact with their group. And some weird shit went down, and so they got labeled a cult, and they said like 100,000 death threats a day and stuff. They said it was, crazy how people were, they were really scared. They really thought these people were going to kill them. It's just like, what in the world with these wacky people who want to run around killing other people because of how they're living? It's just weird, man. The world is big. You can just move in another spot. You don't have to pay any attention to these people whatsoever. You don't ever have to look at them or anything ever again. But you're going to go out and murder them? It's like, it's wacky, man. It's not just these groups. It's fucking people. It's wacky. As this other one, he had all this money being given to him. I mean, there's 330,000 left after 3 houses, a trip to Hawaii, and all this shit. And then the nonstop drugs and alcohol. So, people were donating. And the same with these people, like, it was wacky. So they had a bunch of people who went out there, and a lot of weird shit happened. Like, you get some stories through the documentary of weird shit happening. And so it was definitely like a lot of weird people out here trying to, we're all weird, so let's all just live together and be weird. And it's just like over the top. I swear, it's like Burning Man. And so this group, then they're going to move to Missouri, and they were approached by somebody who wanted to do a documentary on them. And that's where this documentary comes in. And where, to me, it's like, this is not just a documentary. This is fucking reality TV. And so these people who supposedly want to do a documentary on them, so they come in, and I swear to God, there is no motherfucking way that these characters just come to this place out of the blue. They are such defined characters that end up coming to this place to check it out. So they open it up because they're trying to, show people that they're not a cult and get acceptance by the rest of the public. So they open it up again on TikTok, I think, of people who want to come and check it out and be a part of it. And you get 10 days. And then if you decide you want to stay after 10 days, they'll put it before the board, the conference or whatever. And so this one girl comes she's got little tattoos on her face. She's got really long hair. She's a hairdresser, and she's really into spirituality. But I think kind of the new spirituality, like, I don't know how really spiritual she is. And So she goes to join this group, and they didn't like her. They did. One guy named Tree, the Irish guy who's a part of the start of it, he thought she was dangerous. He's really, really paranoid because of all the death threats. So he thought she was dangerous because she would go online, and she was real into, this is like, okay, so is she spiritual? Because she just wants to take pictures of herself and stuff like that. So there's just always signs to me. But I have a real solid understanding of spirituality, I guess, or other people don't. Because like they think like you can just say, well, I'm spiritual. It's like, but there's practices in sleeping around and getting drunk every night, and then just wanting to, build your social media platform of selfies that or filter face. That's not like what. So so they're kicking her out. And then, so they're following this other guy. I'm telling you, this is like a reality show. So they're following this other guy who's like a fucking Viking. And he's got a whole sad story. He was just a little scrawny kid who was picked on. Then he went in the army, and he saw the corruption in our system. And he was like, it woke him up going into the army. And he wanted to pull free. And he became a prepper. And he became focused on that the government's going to collapse, the money's going to collapse, everything's going to collapse. Same shit I've been saying, because it's going to collapse. But it's a part of an ending and a beginning. So the ending has to occur because we're having a beginning. So all you got to do is just put two and two together. In order to have a beginning, you have to have an ending. So we're at the ending of something. But so there's these people, though, who get really paranoid about it. Hold on. And my lips keep being super chapped. I'm telling you, the time, things are so off, man. So, so he's all like paranoid prepper and doesn't trust the government. And him and his wife are nudists, which is very uncomfortable at certain times. Like, it's like, are you trying to create a swingers cult group? Preppers or something? Like, what the fuck? It's like over the top. And they're very comfortable with their nakedness. And it's like, I don't know. So, because, I'm very comfortable with my nakedness, but I'm not going to just go sit around with a bunch of people in clothes and talk about how, like, I like to do threesomes or something. Like, how awkward and uncomfortable are you trying to make people? Like, what the hell? You got to see some of this stuff. It's weird. And so they're anti-government, and but so this group starts becoming divided. And so, at this point, it's weird. They are just living out in tents, and they just travel together, and they go and they get this, I think they have 20 acres or something. At one point, they even started it on fire. But that part was like, oh my God, they're going to start a forest fire. But they got it contained, and they were all excited. It's like, these people are whacked, man. I mean, this is wacky. All these different groups. It's just like, it's weird. And so then they all have their tents. They have all these people coming that want to go and check it out. At one point, this guy comes who can't even barely walk. He needs a cane. He's like less than 40 years old. He is very, packed sausage looking. He looks tight. Like, everything on him, his skin, his face, everything looks so fucking tight. Like, man, you take another breath, you're gonna pop, dude. He can't walk very well. It's like, so you're going out into a nature group who are living off the land, and you can't even barely walk? And so he just wants to sit there all the time. He says he's come to learn from them so he can take this information back to his family so that they can survive the apocalypse. And then you have another guy who's a dwarf who's come, He's come so he can learn from them because he wants to survive the zombie apocalypse. So he's taking his information back to his family. The one guy, the one who looks like he's about to pop, who can't work, he can't do anything, he can't help and do anything. It's like so strange. You just got to see some of the stuff this guy says. This is so strange. These people are so unhealthy. There's so much. Like, goddamn, people. People can live better than this. This is wild. So, and then he gets all offended because one of these spiritual girls comes and wants to do a cleansing or something on him, trying to help his health because he's quite clearly in bad health. And he is, and she starts talking in light language. Oh, he's so offended because he's Christian. And so he goes on a rant about that shit. It's like, this is the weirdest. It's like the weirdest. And so he ends up leaving early. He gets so pissed because, I don't know, it didn't meet his expectations. And they, confronted him on some things. And he didn't like that. One girl, she was all into it. She wanted to be there, and she also was into group sex things. And she wanted to be a part of it, but then the food thing got her. So their food, how they get food, like, they're not, I don't know. Like, why in the world they didn't first thing start building up like a chicken coop and getting chickens and getting some lambs and some goats and, get a fucking cow. Why they weren't doing any of this stuff, but they're trying to form, to me, it's more like a commune. They're not really building a whole community. It's more like just a group trying to live together in a big, like we'll all work together in a communal type of environment. But none of them are in alignment. They all have different things that they think about, different ways that they think things should be done. So nobody's in alignment. They're arguing and fighting. And the Viking guy comes and he's decided he's going to take it over. He wants to be the leader of this group. And Tree, all he wants to do is just like party. He wants to just have music and dance and party and come together as a group socially of enjoying life. He thinks we're just here to enjoy life and you just got to get out there and party. But the way they go to get their food is they go dumpster diving. So they drive into town and go to stores and go into their dumpsters and get out rotten food and take it back and cook it. And then when they're not getting rotten food, they go out and search for roadkill. And if they can find roadkill, they bring it back and cook it. So it's so fucking nasty. And the one lady, she keeps having stomach issues. But what got her is when they went to go talk to, the group of them went to go talk to the hairdresser girl who got kicked out in the beginning. And she started saying they do really gross stuff. Like if somebody's mad at somebody, they put boogers and spit and stuff in the food. The one lady who was all, she was all into it. She wanted to stay there. But when she heard that, she got up in the morning, she packed her shit and she left. And she goes, no, the food thing, I can't do it. No, I'm going to go start my own group. I got some good ideas, but no, I can't be a part of this. This is gross. And so she just snuck out and left. There's this other girl who, she's got her lashes, her nails, and all. I mean, this stuff is so over the top on this thing. And that's why it's got to be just set up. It's all the setup, except for the group. This group is for real. It's Garden Group, but it's like they've got a few people, and they're doing this documentary, but they're bringing all these weird people. And to create this weird drama, because it even ends where it's going to be another season. So, or it's still going. I just got to episode 6. Maybe it's still going. Maybe it's going to go to episode 12. I don't know. Maybe that's being put on once a week or something. So, the Tree is arguing with the people who, because there was a tornado. A tornado came in one night, and they all had to leave and go to someone else's farm and go hide in their cellar. The Viking was like, this is ridiculous. we've got to have our own storm shelter. So he decides he wants to build a storm shelter, and he talks to one of the other guys who's the guy who was raised in the garden. And they decide that they're going to get one of those things that come off a train or off of a back of a truck or something, one of those big things. And so they're going to make that their shelters. They dig a big hole, they get these machines and dig this big hole, and then they're going to put it in there and then put it underground. And so they're going to make this storm shelter is underground. That is one of those, which I thought that was a really good idea. Those pod things or whatever, and then just to bury it in the ground so that it doesn't just come up in a tornado. But you'd have to have the ground really solid, because the tornado, depending, especially with the ones we're having now, they probably could rip that thing right out of the ground. But so anyways, where it's left off, they were still working on that. But Tree, he decided he's leaving because they just want to make a real community, and they don't want to party. They think that's not good to just party because there's kids there. And it's like, but Mr. Naked Man, it's like, this is you got kids there, but Mr. Naked Man, yeah, he's going to be your new leader. So and that guy wants to be a cult leader. Like, he thinks he wants to be worshipped or something. There's so many red flags that people show because they're not healed. And it's like, it's so strange. And they all have these things that are real. Like, the government really is out to get you. They're really not there for you. Medicine's not there for you. Both groups have a weird thing about eating. And to me, it is, I listen to my body. Like, I would definitely, like, I push myself, be like, well, do you really need to eat? Are you really hungry? Because I do have that thing in my head about, like, the brethren, and about we're holograms and we don't really need to eat, that is a part of to keep us trapped in the 3D. And so those kinds of things, but it's not like I'm pushing myself to do something. It's like, I'm not going to be like, well, I'm just going to ignore my body and I'm going to starve myself to death, because then you are starving yourself to death. And, I still go out and touch a tree and go out and breathe. But right now, I go out and breathe and you start coughing and sneezing. It's like, well, they're poisoning us. It's not the real sun. We're not getting energy like that. There's a whole bunch of weird shit. And even when this solar flash came out yesterday, it's like, they can't stop the energy. It doesn't matter what is blocking it. The energy is going to come. So all of this energetic stuff that's going on, we're in an energetic storm because we're in the end of something and the beginning of something new. And so there is an energetic storm. There is a reset happening. And it's like we're leading into this big bang, this big start over. And so and there's nothing to fear, because you aren't, this isn't real. And so, but to me, I still listen to my body. If my body says it's hungry and it wants this or wants that, I feed it. And, but it still is an awareness. So it's something that I think about. I'm fucking, like, if I were going to go start a community, for one thing, it wouldn't be like, let's all live together. No, everybody needs their separate living spaces. It's more like build a town, build like a community that people can go and live in their own homes. And to me, it's more of like an Amish kind of thing. Like, well, yeah, we'll come over and we'll help you put up your barn. We'll help you raise your barn. I think they call it barn raising or something. So the community will come together to help the people put their house together and put their barn together. And so I think that's a good, unified, productive community that goes out and helps one another and are there for one another. But each person has their separate space, not trying to all blend into one group. And then there's, sustainable ways of living is you got to get your own food source going. So if it's gardening, to me, you would have lots of chickens. Like, these people, you're going in dumpster diving. You've got all this land out here that you could be having chickens and having eggs every day. I think there was like 4 chickens. I think they ate one of them. It's like, what? These people are wacky, man. Let's go dumpster dive. Let's eat our one chicken we got. So to me, you know, sustainable living would be getting your town situated with a garden and stuff. That's why I said, while people are waking up, that they have certain things inside of them they're bringing to the table. There's people who understand these things. It's just inside of them. It's a part of their format. It's a part of their role that they came to play. So there's people here who know exactly there's things that they've been interested through their life. They've studied about it. They understand agriculture. They understand what grows with this, how to forage. Like all these people, they are real. They're playing their roles. And so there's a lot of people out there who are going to be bringing a lot of information to building communities. And so, like, to me, this group is so forced, but it's also so reality TV. And it's also, none of these people are in alignment. Like, what are you basing this off of? Some people are anti-government. Some people are anti-establishment. Some people think the world's ending. Some people just want to enjoy their life until it ends. It's like, y'all are all just and then you think you're going to come together in some group. And so, to me, if you're going to build a community, like if they were going to go out and they had this 20 acres, then, each person that came, you'd say like, okay, each person, we got 20 acres. So we can probably fit like 20 families. We could give everybody an acre. Let's do a center. So the center of the community will be a big garden area. So you need to have barns. You need to have places to keep the animals safe, and chicken coop, and adding to your chickens. And the chickens will, add for themselves. They will. More and more chickens can come and come and come. Like, people get huge amounts of chickens. So, I don't know if it's just you let them, if you have a rooster, you just let some of the eggs hatch or something. You just don't take all the eggs. You just take what you need, and some will hatch out. So, but you got to get the unfertilized ones or something. I'm not even sure about all this stuff. Like, that's why I would need somebody who knew and understood all that stuff about chickens, would be in charge of the chickens and the food and that part. So people would have like things that they would be, a part of the community. So somebody would be like, well, I understand about this, so this is the role that I will take, and I'll help teach people so everybody become independent in their knowing and understanding, so nobody has to rely on anybody else. And so, it's growling and growling. Let's talk about food. And so the, building up, to me, like, I would have goat, because you can have goat milk, you can make goat cheese. I would start either getting some kind of power source, like putting in some kind of windmills or solar or generators or something, and start getting some kind of a power source out there. If you're going to be off grid, if you don't have electric lines or anything, but the electricity and stuff's all going away. And I've seen so many people figure out, like, you can plug shit into the dirt. So, figuring out ways to power the place, then start, and obviously they have supplies. I mean, one of the days they built a fucking thing out of wood that we would be building something with. Built a big thing, like a Burning Man, for fear. They all wrote their fears on it and then did a big burning celebration to let go of their fears. I was like, so wasteful. And so, the wood and stuff, like whatever, this wood and all these supplies that they seem to be able to get, well, you should be putting up some different houses and stuff, putting in some like foundations, and trying to create some homes, even if they're very rudimentary. Like back in the day, that they would cut down small trees, and then you'd break all of the branches off, and then you use like mud and clay and stuff. You make your mixture to put in between. So then you put the log, you take off the branches, you take off the bark, you get the wood, and then you put this mud in between, then put the next one, then put that, and put the next one. So you can build something like that. You can have dirt floor. You know, I mean, there's lots of people in other countries that still live with dirt floors. You don't have to go all in and put in, you know, like, oh, let's do a laminate. You know, you can be a lot more rougher, especially like right now. But we're gonna, as things change, I think it's gonna go into way more higher tech. I think this kind of stuff is, you know, show us what's not working. Get stuff to pay attention. Like, okay, well, I definitely don't want to try and go start a group with people like who have completely different value system than me. This is what this putting yourself out there brings you, you know, your people towards you, people who are in alignment with your values of how you look at things and stuff. So you can find your people out there to start these groups by putting yourself out there. You know, if it's to start a forum or whatever. And then, you know, ask people questions. Put yourself out there, what you believe, so you can put off the people who aren't in alignment with you. Don't just market it as this desperate, the world's about to end. Everybody, we got to get out in the forest before the government blows us all up. You know, don't feed people's fears to get them to join your group. You want it to be based on your values, your priorities, what you want your community to be like. You know, I mean, this one, they want it to be, you know, a nudist community of swingers or something, I think. And so just watch the thing and see what you think. But you want to have people who are, you know, you're like-minded. And so to me, it would be, you know, a community center. And another thing too, these people who you use skills to make money, like not just selling stuff and everything, like learn how to make clothes, learn how to basket weave. I just saw this bothered me, is because this was a mailman who had stopped his 9 to 5 or whatever, and he was trying to teach other people how they could make money like he's making money. So he goes to the thrift store, finds clothes that are too cheap for their brand, and takes them and sells them on eBay. And there's tons and tons of people who do this. That is what drove the prices up at the thrift stores, because of all of these resellers. So they drove the prices up on the stuff. To the rest of us, you know, there's lots of people who shop at the thrift store for a lot of different reasons, but a lot of it is because that's where they can afford to shop. Used to, you could go in and get your kids clothes and stuff. You know, you get your kid a whole new outfit for $10. You could find, you know, a fancy dress for cheap because somebody wore it one time and they took it to the thrift store. So your daughter needs one. You can't afford to go to the dress store that everybody else is going. You go down there and you can find one. You know, there used to be, it was a productive part of community to have people who didn't want something anymore, that you could go and get it for cheap, and that they would just donate it. And then it got all jacked up, a corporation and greed. And so you got these people who go in, and this guy was trying to show about Pendleton shirts. He was showing like, oh, I got this one for $6, but it's gonna go for 80, and he's doing this whole thing. Now I commented and I said, this is what has driven the prices up at the thrift stores. You know, this is like, you should at least do something different with the clothes. You have a lot of people who go to the thrift stores, get old clothes, take them home, and upcycle and change them, you know, make them newer and do things. So they are taking old stuff that's unwanted and fixing it up and making it, you know, like a creative endeavor, and then reselling it. That's way different. And so this other guy, he's, you know, trying to teach people how to do this other thing that is not good for the community. And so, because I'm sure there's a lot of guys who could have really used those shirts for $6, but let's just take them and go sell them to the people who can afford the $80, because that makes sense, I guess. So anyways, but to me, you know, I've talked about this since the beginning of my fucking time of talking, is learning your skills, learning what you're good at, learning how to do things. And that's what they've tried to keep people away from doing, is developing their skills and stuff, because they don't want you to have any. They want you to be hopeless and helpless and dependent. And they prefer you to be greedy and not care about other people. And so but in the community, I mean, people who make things and, basket weaving, painting, making stained glass, making pottery. Like, there's all sorts of things that you can learn to make and bring to the table, and become good at. Because you got to follow something that you pricks your interest. It makes you excited. Like, ooh, I've always wanted to learn how to do pots. I've always wanted to make pottery. So I'm going to learn how to make it. And then you start going in and you start focusing on making it and learning everything about it and become good at it. And then once your community starts developing, you've got dishes to sell people. And then once all the people in your community have it, your community is building up, you have people who come to travel and see your community, and then they buy the things from the artisans that are there. Or if you're just so busy and just desperate to make a lot of money, selling stuff online. So there's all different ways to develop yourself in what you can bring to the table and offer. And so then you'd have, I don't know, what do they call those places? Apothecary kind of store or something in a town where people can go and trade and sell their things. And, like I had said, like I can make blankets. Like I have a lot of different things I can do. And, you just got to see what is needed, where, what we need. And, we may dress completely different or something. I don't know. Maybe we're all going to be wearing silver spacesuits. I don't fucking know. So anyways, the focus is the development of self, and then see where it takes you. So, don't see any of these people doing that kind of stuff. They are, going and getting roadkill, going and dumpster diving, eating rotten food, and think they're living off the land, and partying, arguing with each other all the time, and nobody's in alignment morally. And so, but to me, it would be, you and 20 friends that you make online who all decide that you want to go in and get this land. Everybody but also we have free land. There's a ton of free land. So it's not even like you have to come up with that money to buy the land. You just have to go and look up where the free land is. And I would also say look up on the Doomsday Map. I'm telling you, you need to pay attention to where land is going to be still left. And so I would go and look for, put on my forum and find my people. Because I've had so many people on here, on TikTok, who want to build communities and stuff. They're looking and, they want out and they want to start building communities. I think a lot of people, it's a part of your awakening, a part of the pulling free from the system. And so when that is your drive, is, start the forum, start, looking for people who are interested, however it is that you want to approach it. But then once you get out there, you need to be thinking first off, how are we all going to eat? Chickens is so easy, so quick and easy. You can take tons and tons in crates and stuff. I think even when they had moved, they had taken their livestock. But the other thing, they're out looking for dumpsters and stuff. I don't know how much livestock they had if they just ate it all. But you'd want to have chickens that were there to give you eggs. You wouldn't just eat the chickens. And then a cow to give you milk, cheese, butter, and same with a goat. So you'd want to have things that you didn't kill, that they were there because you take care of them, and then they give you food back. So there's an exchange. You care for them and stuff. And so maybe, they think, well, we can't feed them. Well, a lot of those are grazers. So, can open up your thing. That should be your biggest center, or the biggest part is your sustainable food source. And then your energy, you got to focus on how you're going to have energy, and then what you're going to do about your plumbing and stuff, because everybody's doing all composting toilets and stuff. Well, they did that for a long, long time. Had outhouses and composting toilets. You didn't just have them in your house. So, I mean, you could have, composting latrines are set up around your areas. There was a lot of different places to go to the bathroom. So, you got to be thinking about, people are going to have to go to the bathroom, so we have to have that set up. And then, there should be some people who come like in campers or something, so that they have some place to sleep while you're building these places up. This tent thing and stuff, they seem like they're trying to, I don't know, it seems like they're trying to like live off the land and be these hippies. It's like they don't even know what the fuck they're doing. And, but they have good intentions of trying to break free and live off the land. It's just like people, are you looking into anything? Are you doing research or what? And so I don't think any of them would know how to forage, what to go and to eat out in nature. They probably had stuff all around them that they could be eating. I mean, you can cook greens and stuff. And they're going to give you a lot more nutrition than going and getting some fucking... At one time, they find a big old fucking box of old fucking, not even trail mix. It's like that kind of Walmart mix that has got Doritos and Cheetos and Fritos in it. It's like, where is your nutrition? Like, what? Like, this is so weird. Like, you think you just need to eat some food? Like, you need to eat nutrition. You should be out picking some plants and cooking those. I'm sure there's berries out there that they could be eating, but they don't have anybody who's out there who's leading them in foraging. Like, this is a very not put together group. And so if you're putting together a group to go out and create a place, you need to be like, figuring out, like, what are we going to need? What things do we want to need? Who can do this? Who can do that? Even to me, it would be like, you knew your land, start figuring out and talking to people ahead. Well, what do you guys think if we put this here? And then we all kind of, like a star went out from the center, and we all put our own little homesteads. So we're nearby each other, but we're all individually placed. And then figuring out like what supplies you're going to need, and help one another build the houses. And even if you started out with building the barns first, you can build a barn that on the bottom, say you have your cow, you could even have a couple horses. You could have horses that in order to get around. And so you could have some horses, but you could have a bottom part of a barn where animals were, goats. A lot of these animals just live happily all together. I've seen tons of videos where people are going out and doing these homesteads, and the animals all just curl up together and sleep together, and they're not trying to kill each other. So down in the barn, you could have your animals, and up top, you could have shelter for people to sleep, even if it was like a bunch of cots and sleeping bags until each person's house was built. Like, there's so many better productive ways to do it than, like, I don't see how you can watch this show and not see like, oh, this is a mistake. This is a mistake. Oh, I'll do this different. I'll do this different. So you can watch this stuff and learn from it, because I definitely think we're headed to a more different way of living than how we have been living. This is the end of how we were living. This is the crumbling apart of our existence that we had created, and the witnessing of everything that went wrong. But even in the transition of seeing people trying to do things right, it's like they're taking the same energy. The energy is still the same. You got to be more productive. You got to be more thoughtful. You got to be more healed. And these people are just all like getting their feelings hurt from each other and getting mad, and It's like, well, this is not the kind of community I want to be in. And so, anyways, there's a lot of ways to start a community and be very productive. You've got to be a lot more thoughtful about it. And it's super important for each person to do their own healing. So you're not getting your feelings hurt by every little thing somebody else does. Nobody should be able to hurt your feelings all the time. Yeah, people are going to say things that are going to make you mad or whatever, but then you just be like, oh, well, you know, you don't have to, oh, well, they think this and they think that. So, you know, like the guy who's so tight, looks like he's about to explode. The stuff he says, I mean, it's like, oh my God, dude, you have got some things you need to really be focusing on. Your healing. I wish I could get everybody to understand how much they need to focus on their healing. They're not productive in the world, in the state that they're in. And everything in life right now is pushing people to do their healing. Like these energies coming in and stuff. And on Alice and Co., when they said about the solar flash, when it comes in, that it's going to be like that, a very intense energy. And like Crystal said that yesterday when she was at the hairdresser's and it hit her. She said she got really dizzy. And then she heard later that people were saying about that was what was happening to a bunch of people. They were getting really dizzy. And so when the big solar flash comes, that because they're supposed to be those of us who are raising our vibration enough that we can stay right here when the solar flash happens, and that but our energy through our healing and stuff, that we can sustain these different energetic impulses that are coming in. And so when the big one comes in, that the people who said that they were there on the Alice and Co videos, they said that it was like everybody was knocked down. It was just like you were knocked down. But then it's just like everybody just kind of got up and everybody was fine. But these are all like preparing us. These big energies coming in are preparing us and getting us ready for the one that's to come. And everything in the universe is going and making situations happen so that you have to deal with them. You have to handle yourself. You have to grow. You have to change, because that is what we're in, this transition. You can't stay the same in a transition. What's changed? You know, you have to change. You have to grow. You have to see what's wrong. And so many people are distracted by out saving the world because this person's got so many problems. I've just got to go save them. Then that's your savior complex. That's not healed. That's you thinking that you need to save somebody else. Everybody can save themselves. You got to give everybody the right, the opportunity to save themselves. You don't step in and say, here, I got this for you. You don't worry about a thing. I'll take care of it. But you can see that energy, how it's just everywhere in our society, and it has to be purged out. And so we're in the process of eliminating that kind of energy and having more respect for each other and everybody's different, you know, because everybody can save themselves. Everybody's got the equal soul. Everybody's got a soul inside of them. It's not like that you need my soul to guide your soul. No, all I'm trying to do to get people to get back in touch with their soul. Your soul's in there. It's very distracted by this world of shiny shit. And so you've got to get back in touch with yourself. And that is a part of the path to enlightenment, is finding your truth into yourself. And, you know, following your truth, being secure enough to be true to you. And so that is, you know, it's a part of the whole thing. But as you're doing that, see, when the solar flash comes in, it won't affect you. Yeah, the energy may knock us down, but then we'll just get up and we'll be like, oh man, okay, so now that would be the big bang. That would be when things are going to really start. And I don't know how it's all going to go down. You know, I don't know if everything's going to just blow. Like, I don't know how long this is even going to drag out. Like, it's so mental how they can just keep this going and keep this going. You know, the banks have got to be going down. Like, it's as slow as that they've made this go. It's got to go. Like, I don't know, even with that Lockwood thing, and it reset. Now it's to the 30th, and I don't know if they're just trying to taunt these CEOs or bankers. Like, I don't know who all they would be taunting with this stuff. But there's definitely, there's two sides. There's definitely, I mean, I don't know how anybody could go out into the world and not see all the misinformation that is being spread. There is definitely so much infiltration in the spiritual community. Definitely the religion, that was already on its own of misinformation. The spiritual community, that's so infiltrated. And apparently even, people who are trying to go off grid and form communities, that's all just a wackadoo thing right now too. But so I don't know if it's going to be like everything's going to fall apart. And because to me, it still seems like once the bank collapses, once they say, the Joe's gone, he was never supposed to be there, because we've already got this stuff coming out. None of these people were sworn in. And I had heard back in 2021 or 20, I might have even been 2020, whenever, it was right after, it would have been 2021, right? Because it was June, January, yeah. So when he got sworn in, that, there was all of us watching. And we're like, he's not even really swearing. His hand's not even on the Bible. And they made it real clear, even with Kamala. She had her hand on her purse. And there was all sorts of wacky stuff. But we had heard then that everything that they are doing and saying is obsolete because they don't really have any power. So all this stuff that they try to put in will go. But there's so many things that they've done that, how do you undo it? All it is about being exposed, just like sending all that money over to the Ukraine, and now fucking Zelensky's out buying big yachts and thanking us. It's all just the absurdity to wake people up, and it does wake some people up, but they get all so mad and so angry about it. But that's, that's starting your process. You got to go through and see, why are you angry? Why are you mad? Why didn't you see that this is what was going on? Like, what were you missing? Like, whatever everybody's process is to get through it. So anyways, let me just wrap this up real quick. So anyways, there's going to be a time, it will be like, the more you tap in with your spiritual side, the more you will know the right time, because it will take you where you need to be. They'll put you where you need to be. The right people will come to you, and you will be on a path. And right now, where we're all just kind of sitting here spinning our wheels, you got to realize it's because there's a time that's going to open up. So a time will open, and then we will go through. It'll be like going through a door, but it will be a defined time that we will enter. So it'll be like this different energy, and then things will start going together. But still, if that's what you want to do, is build a community, you should be putting out your feelers. You should be developing. You should be talking to other people who want to develop one and seeing. And then, to me, you need to have the awareness of all this shit that's going to be free, because it's going to be the Jubilee, and everything goes back to the people. And so all the land and stuff, because it was illegal for them to be charging us to be on the planet when we were birthed onto the planet. And they try to insert themselves as a middleman. And so that whole thing is going to fall apart. So you can still be making your plan and then watching for the land to come. And then you're ready to go and start developing. And any of the places that start developing in small, there's going to be more and more people coming. And that's why you don't want to just have everybody has to be just the same. It's about learning to accept all different people. And if people want to come and join into your thing, into your communities, it's like people need to bring something to the table, not suckle off of the community that is existing. They need to participate. They need to be a part of it. They need to go work in the gardens. They need to go, do things to help other people or something. Like this one guy in the show, how he just thought he could just sit back and do nothing and have them feed him and stuff. It was, it's like, dude, that is not community. That is not cooperation. There's a big difference in cooperation when we all do our part to keep something moving. The corporation wants us to be dependent on them. So, anyways, I better go. Still is not happy. And, so, anyways, I'll download this and, this was a daily rant, I guess. But, anyways, just, look at things differently, with bigger view. Don't stay so small and narrow in your perspective. Keep opening your mind, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I'll talk to you later. Bye.